News out of Washington, D.C. tonight with major implications for Chicago. The Washington Post is reporting that the Pentagon has been working on a plan for weeks that could potentially deploy thousands of National Guard troops right here in Chicago. That just a day after President Trump said he's considering a major intervention in Chicago to crack down on crime. Our political reporter, Paris Schutz, standing by now with the latest developments in this potential showdown between the city and state and the federal government. Paris.
Yeah, Dane, we're just getting a reaction right now as this broke from the Washington Post about an hour or so ago. And what the Washington Post is reporting is that the Pentagon has engaged in plans to potentially send thousands of National Guard or military service members here to Chicago as soon as September. That's all we know from the Washington Post reporting. Now, the governor learned about this the same way we did. From the article, he says that the Trump administration has not coordinated with him on deploying the National Guard here to Chicago. But, of course, yesterday in the Oval Office, Trump alluded to the fact that he does want to do this. This comes on the heels of calling in the National Guard to Washington, D.C. He says it's to keep the peace. He says it's to promote public safety in a city that has suffered from a high crime rate, just like Chicago, although, just like Chicago, murders are down about 30% or so through the first half of this year, both in D.C. and Chicago and other big cities across the country. Now, Illinois is very different than Washington, D.C. It's a state. The governor has to request the National Guard. The president cannot unilaterally send the National Guard here, except under very rare circumstances, Dana. We'll get to that, but let's listen to the president's own words on his disdain for the leadership here in Chicago and his belief that he has the right to send military troops.
Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this, and it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago.
And the governor did issue a long statement in response as he's learning of this news. He says, quote, the state of Illinois at this time has received no requests or outreach from the federal government asking if we need assistance, and if we have made no requests for federal intervention. The safety of the people of Illinois is always my top priority. There is no emergency that warrants the President of the United States federalizing the Illinois National Guard, deploying the National Guard from other states, or sending active duty military within our own borders. Donald Trump is attempting to manufacture a crisis, politicize Americans who serve in uniform, and continue abusing his power to distract from the pain he is causing working families. We will continue to follow the law, stand up for the sovereignty of our state, and protect the people of Illinois. No response, Dane, from the mayor right now. Should be mentioned that the governor does have to call the National Guard. The last time it happened was in 2021 in anticipation of potential riots or protests after the murder, or the shooting, I should say, the killing of Adam Toledo, the young man. The Illinois National Guard is typically called in situations like that. Their main duties are to guard critical infrastructure or to assist in traffic management. Usually their big vehicles can block off streets where there might be danger or there might be protests. They're not trained to be police day to day, so it's not clear what kind of training or what kind of duty or what reason the president is using to send the National Guard or the military here, whether it's to assist immigration officials, to assist police and public safety, homelessness. We just don't know at this point, as this is just reporting coming from the Washington Post, but we will monitor a reaction as we get it, Dane.
Paris, you've been talking on your show, Paris on Politics, all week about the potential of this happening. It's been in the air for a while. What are the legal experts telling you about the feasibility of sending National Guard troops to a city or state where the political leaders say they're not needed?
Well, the federal law and the Constitution is very clear. There's the Posse Comitatus Act, which says that this is the purview of the governor. The governor has to call the National Guard. The president, under law, cannot unilaterally send military or the National Guard onto American city streets in states. D.C. is the District of Columbia. Obviously, that's a different situation. Except there are very rare exceptions. And I've learned this from talking to some legal experts and the Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul. President could declare the Insurrection Act. President could declare a rebellion against the government as our justification, or a foreign invasion. As you know, Dane, he did deploy National Guard troops in Los Angeles against the wishes of the governor there. That is being litigated in courts. The governor there says this is illegal. That is still going through the legal process, whether the president was against the law in what he did. But it's pretty clear. It's very unusual to declare the Insurrection Act. It is almost rarely in the history of the country been invoked. There's no objective rationale that would say, that would determine that the conditions we're facing currently in Chicago would amount to, quote unquote, an insurrection or a rebellion or a foreign invasion. Although the Trump messaging strategy has been to call some of the undocumented immigration that's happened an invasion. That's his messaging. Although the other messaging is that they've gotten illegal crossings down to almost nothing. So we'll have to see. These are messaging strategies that contradict each other. Which messaging strategy the Trump administration will go to, as they believe they have justification for this, if they indeed do this. But again, no doubt this will be litigated then, as the governor has indicated he has seen no reason to call the National Guard. And it is his purview under law to do that.
It's going to wind up in court, certainly. Paris, thanks for your time tonight.
No doubt.
And the analysis.